Hello again, everybody. I'm Chris Mooneyham, and welcome to the TCA All Sports Report. As always, brought to you by Fox 5 Atlanta, 680 The Fan, and of course, the Touchdown Club of Atlanta. Thanks for joining us again this week, everybody. Let's get right down to it. We got a lot of info to get into this week, and let's make sure we get to our honorees, our players of the week, as we start things out here. We're going to start with our Duffy Realty of Atlanta back of the week. A lot of questions for the Archer, actually, I shouldn't say a lot of questions. One big question for the Archer Tigers coming into their 2015 season. We knew that the Tigers were as talented as any team in the state. And I really mean that when I say it. They have as many major prospects on their roster as any team in the state, even as many as McEachern or Colquitt or Grayson or some of these other teams that you may think of. But the big question was at quarterback. Gabe Tiller, a 3-year starter, now gone, and Will Bearden was taking over for him. Bearden, a guy who's played a little bit over the last couple of years, but as a senior has seen still limited duty. And so many pundits, including yours truly, when we put out our predictions before the year, we said there is but one big question for Archer, and that is at the quarterback position. Will Bearden be no more than a game manager, or can he win games on his own? Well, he has truly proven that he can win games on his own, not just from last week, but throughout this season. And he has been one of the really pleasant stories and one of the big reasons that in this 2015 season, Archer is once again a state championship contender. He's our Duffy Realty back of the week. 6'2", 196 is Will Bearden. And the reason he wins our award this week, he finishes against Central Gwinnett in a 42-6 victory, 16 out of 20 for 310 yards and 4 scores. Archer will be the number 2 seed out of Region 8 into the state playoffs. Our lineman of the week is Michael Pitts, a defensive end from Stevenson High School. The 6'2", 232-pound Jaguar had 11 tackles, 5 tackles for losses, and 2 sacks in their 27-13 victory over MLK, a rivalry ball game win. Stevenson now will be in a crossover ball game, division champion versus Mays, another division champion. Winner wins the region. Loser is second place. Still gets a home game. So that's the good news. No matter who loses that, they will get a home game in the opening round of the state playoffs. Our coach of the week is Mike Muschamp from Lovett. Remembering now that over the last few years, Lovett has been a state championship contender and been as talented a 2A school as any that we've seen over the last few years. Coming into 2015, however, the storyline was, far more unusual for this program than we've seen over the last few years. Keep in mind, they had 2 guys. In the summer, they had 3 guys. But then by the time they got to the beginning of the season, just 2 men that either started or saw significant action in 2014, returning to their program. So because they were so young and they were playing such a tough schedule and they had guys that were inexperienced, they started the year 0-4 against Pace Academy, Westminster, Marist, and Woodward Academy. Okay, that's a who's who of the various classifications across the state of Georgia, and all 4 of those teams will be playoff teams in 2015. But Lovett gathered themselves together from 0-4. Mike Muschamp told us on the air on 680 The Fan in our Nally Lexus of Roswell Friday Night Football Game of the Week. He said, look, I told the guys, it really doesn't matter that you're 0-4. Now you've had the opportunity to play here in the first half of the year, but now we're getting into region play. And this is where your season will be decided. We can still get into the playoffs. Well, they've done just that. Lovett has clinched a playoff spot, and they have a shot at the number 2 seed. The reason why? They were able to take out Wesleyan last week. That's why Mike Muschamp is our coach of the week. 21-7 the final over undefeated, and depending on which poll you were looking at, somewhere between 3 and 5 in the state, Wesleyan. They beat one of their arch rivals in Wesleyan. And now, again, Lovett could finish anywhere from 2nd to 4th in that region, but depending on what happens this upcoming weekend in the finale, they could get to 2nd in that region. And again, that's oh so important because you could host a playoff game. And there are very few home field advantages as good as Lovett's when you're playing down on the banks. Okay, coming up this Thursday, I want to make sure to remind you folks that we'll be back down at the College Football Hall of Fame for another evening with the Touchdown Club of Atlanta. Our event, let me click on it here. Our event, yes, Begins at 7 p.m. Will go until 11 p.m. Again, that's Thursday, November 5th, down at the College Football Hall of Fame, another evening with the Touchdown Club of Atlanta. We'll have a live broadcast from my compatriots over at 680 The Fan. Mississippi State and Missouri will be on the big board. You can, of course, kick field goals, have dinner, have drinks, catch passes, tour the Hall of Fame. $40 per member, your tickets. $60 non-member tickets. And of course, we will present these awards that you've seen over the last couple of weeks for the TCA back, lineman, and coach of the week. Again, your tickets include dinner, bar, drinks, and a Hall of Fame tour. Okay, until next week, when we really get ready for the playoffs, I'm Chris Mooneyham for the TCA All Sports Report.